Anyway, so Mike, I want to play Dr. Bodden a little bit because I think he explains it pretty well, better probably than a lot of other people. And again, Dr. Bodden was the New York City chief medical examiner many years ago, and he's an old guy, but he's still pretty damn competent.
Them use the drugs together. The one fellow who comes in and sleeps on the couch indoors sleeps it off
2 days
for a while, more than 24 hours, right? Whereas the other three get sleepy and pass out outside, and because of the weather and because of the snow, their body temperature drops very quickly from 98 degrees to 80 degrees, at which point, less than an hour, the heart can't beat anymore accurately, so they die of a cardiac arrest due to hypothermia.
That, to me, and I didn't know that. I mean, it was explained pretty well by Dr. Bodden.
Right.
That those three gentlemen, the victims of this, Clayton McGeeney, Ricky Johnson, and David Harrington, they could have all succumbed to a cardiac arrest. But what was really the cause was the fentanyl that made them feel a certain way, that made them go outside and lay outside in a cold environment because the drug knocked them out. And the drug is the villain here. Absolutely. Mike.
Yeah, Bill, that's the strange thing about it is when this is all said and done, that you may have medical examiner's office saying they have the lethal dose, 3 times the lethal dose of fentanyl, but each of those men, each one of those 3 gentlemen died of the exact same thing, a heart attack, and brought on by extreme hypothermia and the stress on the body. It won't make people feel any better about how it turned out, and people might be like, well, didn't they die of the fentanyl? Well, they died of the heart attack, caused by the stress from the fentanyl in their system going outside. It all worked together to kill them. But it's not going to be a very satisfactory answer to people when they hear that, most likely that they died of heart attacks.
Michelle Noir, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Does Narcan revive people who OD on Fenty? Yes, it does. And numerous cops their lives have been saved throughout this country who had inadvertently come in contact with fentanyl, and they were given, Narcan, and it saved their lives. They're very scary, just to even getting it on your skin. I remember also back in the day, angel dust was a scary thing.
Yeah.
And if you came in contact with angel dust, you could, and just have it near you, the fumes would get out and you'd be like, whoa, what the heck was that? And also the behavior of people that were high on angel dust was something that you didn't want to see, and they would have superhuman strength and, take 10 cops to bring down a guy who was on angel dust. And, we have all these experiences with these drugs coming up through the years, different drugs that made their way into Harlem and the Bronx, Manhattan, Lower East Side, Operation Pressure Point, all these responses from the NYPD to these new drugs that came out, and always a horrific thing. Let me play the rest of Dr. Bodden.
It is very unusual for 3 people using or 4 people using drugs together to die simultaneously from fentanyl. The effects on people varies a great deal. So it's less likely to be overdoses and more likely to be hypothermia caused by passing out from the fentanyl.
What does that tell you then? If all 4 of them experienced, he fell asleep on the sofa. Thankfully, he wasn't outside at the time. The other 3 were. What does that tell you about the power, how powerful these drugs are?
We don't know what all the drugs are. Fentanyl is the most powerful of these drugs mentioned. And it varies a great deal. There was something in the paper about somebody having a 30. The fentanyl is measured in micrograms. Very small amount, causes a lot. At 30, some people will die at 30, and other people can go up to 100 or 200 and not die. See, it varies on the individuals. So it'd be extremely unusual for a true overdose to kill them, but they would all get sleepy. And if they pass out in the snow, they die. One of the factors is it's a painless death. They don't have any pain when they pass out, or they don't have any pain from the cold.
So, doctor, we know we're in the middle of a drug crisis, and if the report is true that they were mixing the cocaine with fentanyl, there was a report and there was a bulletin done by the DA, and they unclassified this. And the concern was people were using cocaine and fentanyl based together because they were using the fentanyl to substitute for the heroin. Why would people think that fentanyl is heroin? What type of effect? Because they sent this to all the medical examiners because people were dropping like flies. What makes them the same?
Well, fentanyl and fentanyl both are laboratory-made chemicals.
Or just
Drug narcotics, and they both have similar effects, but fentanyl is much stronger than heroin, and heroin is much stronger than morphine, which is the original one. But when they're mixed with cocaine, sometimes addicts will mix a downer. Fentanyl is a downer, makes you go to sleep. Cocaine is an upper, and some drug users think if you mix them together, it makes it safer, and that's not true. They'll mix it together, makes it worse, and most fentanyl deaths combine other drugs with them.
Right. I'm happy to say I'm not an experienced drug user, so this might sound naive. Could it be that someone gets cocaine and people put fentanyl in it, they don't know it?
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the problem. Fentanyl is very cheap. It's very cheap for the drug lords and all, so that they can mix fentanyl with marijuana. They mix fentanyl with cocaine. And that's why, and it's much more powerful than the other drugs. So the four of them may not even known what they were getting. They might have thought they were getting cocaine, and instead it's fentanyl. And that's why, as Lauren said, we have to wait for the official toxicology
But you do have a
report.
witness. A guy that lived through it, right?
It sounds like the guy who was asleep on the sofa probably told police, because they said this is 100% not a homicide. People were accusing him, and he said, I didn't do it. I bet he told police, this is the honest truth. This is what we were doing.
Well,
and maybe gave them the drug dealer's name or number, and then police knew what they were dealing with.
absolutely. That one thing, the police come there, and they got things from the scene.